So the vocal Bible, Brandy Norwood, honey, she published a new memoir that is out
Yes.
in stores now. It's called Phases, and it has been trending. She talks about, of course, like her life and her perspective, which is what you do in a memoir, right?
Yes.
However, Lisa Ray, one of the biggest, I would say, scandalous things that came out of it was the revelation that Brandy Norwood revealed that she was 16 years old when she was dating Boyz II Men lead singer Wanya Morris. She talked about how the age gap, now that she looks at it as a grown woman who has a daughter, she said how she felt that he took advantage of her and that the
That's what she
shame.
said. She said he took advantage of her. That's a
Yes,
quote.
and yes, and I'm gonna read you verbatim what she said because I want to make sure that I don't misquote anything that she said. She admitted that, one of the reasons why they broke up is because he was cheating. She said for years, Wanye described their relationship as the young ingenue having a schoolgirl crush and getting her heart broken, but that's not the case. And she said verbatim in the book, Lisa Ray, I believe he took advantage. The shame ends here. The silence ends here. I was not a fast girl with a crush. I was not a dramatic teenager who could not handle rejection. I was not an unstable, obsessive fan. I was a child and he was an adult.
Okay, let's unpack that because everything that was said describes a child, you know. So at 16, you're not mature. You could be mature for your age, but you're not an adult. You do make silly, mistakes and decisions, and you can have a crush. You could be a fan, especially of someone that was out there doing it in a way in which made everyone pay attention, and then you getting a little attention from, so that can make a girl get the butterflies, and especially if you're 16.
Mhm.
Is it right? I think right now, I can just speak for myself. I was in eighth grade, and eighth grade is even younger than 16. And I had a crush on a guy that was, I think he was 18 at the time. And 18, back then was like grown, you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
knowing that he was grown and that he liked me made me feel wanted, made me feel like I could compete with the other girls or the seniors or the whatever, because I'm like, he liked me, I mean, he could have chose you, but he liked me, and it gave me something, you know was I fast? I think you can kind of say that I was, because if I was going with it and I liked it and I wanted it and I dreamed about it and all of that, it was like, oh, me, 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 me. Was that a bad thing? I had a crush on somebody on TV. I told you I thought Todd Bridges was gonna take me on prom. He had just not found me yet. You know what I mean? That's all. But had he would have asked me, yeah, absolutely, I would have went. You know what I mean? Does that make me fast? Our older people and parents would say, yes, get your fast tail, on in the house. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You don't have no business seeing any boy at 16 back then.
Right.
16 now, they going home telling their mother that I have a boyfriend at 16. I couldn't go and tell my mother that at all. So we are in a different time. I think she's straddling a fence a little bit with old school and new school, because she's not new school and she's not as old school as I am. But that would be a question for her mom. Like, what kind of relationship did they have? Did her mom know that she had a crush on Wanye? Did she know that they were spending a lot of time together? Did she see and feel anything different from her daughter, where she felt like she needed to stop something? I don't know. Or did
Well,
Brandy?
she said it. She said in the book, Lisa Ray, to answer your question, she said, I was in over my head, sneaking around with Wanye and lying to my parents had become a constant. They barely liked the idea of me dating at all, and telling them about us was out of the question.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Understandable. So then she was a little mature, you know what I mean? Because she knew to finagle. She knew to sneak, you know what I mean? And when we do that, we know that something just ain't quite 100% or right about what we're doing. Otherwise, you wouldn't be sneaking at all. Now you find fun in sneaking though. You know what I mean? That's where you find the ooh wee, you know. So I mean, you know, Brandy, listen, is my baby. You know what I mean? We're friends and we are girls, you know what I mean? And I'm just proud of her telling her truth and coming out like stops here, you know. And she's grown, she's a mother herself, so she don't have a reason to lie. And in her memoirs she wanted to release. So
Hmm.
for me, it's bravo to you. How she wants to do her daughter now will be a lesson for her because she knows what she did. She remembers how her mother handled her, so maybe that will give her a little bit more leverage to be able to allow her daughter to breathe in a different way when she has her child. You know, we got to break that generational
Hmm.
curse to be able to have conversations that are hard to have, that your mom is cool enough for you to be able to have a decent conversation that will allow you to move forward. So that's what I would say about this whole thing. You know, let's just stay.
Yeah. It's no, and I agree with you. Listen, I think it's great that she can look at her time at 16 years old because listen, back then we won't even get to the R. Kelly of it all about learning. Aaliyah was 15 when she married him, and he was, of course, in his 20s, and us knowing that wasn't okay, but life went on, and we still bought music, and we were none the wiser, right? Um, the one thing that is disturbing, and I want to get your thoughts on this too, because I agree with everything you're saying. I think when it comes to girls who are teenagers, and that's why I am proud of parents who are on top of their daughters and sons too, but daughters because a lot of older men can take advantage of you when you are younger, but you're more developed. And Brandy was a developed young woman at 16. She had the hit TV show Moesha, the top it girl of her
Mhm.
generation. And Wanya obviously was in a major successful group. They toured together, which is how they met. She was opening up for Boys to Men. And again, the one thing that because I like to give grace where grace is there, I'm like, okay, again, back then was a different time. Wanya's in his early 20s. She's 16. I think it's odd, but again, I'm not a straight man. I think it's odd. But I thought maybe, okay, he would say that. Now, he hasn't responded to her saying that she felt he took advantage of her, but there was a Breakfast Club interview, Lisa Ray, that happened a couple of years ago, and Charlamagne asked Wanye about it, and he said, yeah, she's around like 16, but, she was old enough to get it.
Get what?
He said it, and that it was legal in the states they were touring.
Well, mm.
And I think, in my opinion, I think that response could, because this happened years ago.
Oh,
This book came out last week. I strongly believe his response, those words,
uh-huh.
rightfully so, trigger something in her like that. I don't think anybody wants to be talked to about that way, especially when they're 16. And yes, women mature faster than men, but men have enough common sense to know what is right and wrong. So for him to say that makes it a little disturbing.
Okay, wait a minute now. Okay, I heard what you said that men have should have a little bit more respect and common decency and all of that stuff. But so do we. You
Yeah.
know, this is what really. First of all, I don't know if he's done the research from state to state that they will go to and say, "Oh, this state we can do it. You can get it in this state." You know what I'm saying? Oh, we can't get it tomorrow though, because tomorrow we'll be in Indiana or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that was really. First of all, can he get in trouble now? All these years later?
Well, that's the thing. So what was, and again, the reason why I wanted to color this with how, and listen, I raised my hand. I think we all are trying to, really understand what we allowed to get away with back then. I so listen, I never heard that interview until they found it last week.
Hmm.
But to your point, it was said it wasn't trending because I don't think social media was popping back then when he said it, but he did say it. And it's he hasn't said anything since the book. So maybe he's not trying to get in trouble.
This is what I feel. I feel like